It seems like everyone is always scrolling through social media these days, from keeping up with their favorite influencers, checking in on their friends, and most importantly, in this time of political uncertainty, getting political information thrown at them. So to delve deeper into the effects of social media on politics, we decided to question a couple of Gen Zers on what their experience with politics on social media has looked like.
How much of an impact do you think social media has on the election?
I think social media has a big impact on how people view the election and or how they view certain candidates.
I think social media can have a huge impact on how people view the presidential candidates.
So could you name any examples of specific posts containing misinformation that you have seen?
I can't name any posts off the top of my head, but I know for certain there are a lot of people out there that have been, for example, misattributing quotes from political candidates, presidential candidates, such as some of the Biden quotes that go around. I know a lot of them have either been cut off at certain points to portray him as a bad person, or there's things that they just don't share in these posts and to show him in a bad light.
You said you have fallen for misinformation before, so could you name what that piece of misinformation was? Was it a post or something?
I think there was a post, if I remember correctly, it was about Muslim concentration camps and how it was being compared to the Holocaust, and there were numbers there that were not correct.
And finally, are your parents on social media? And if so, do they get any political news from it, and how does it impact their politics?
Yes, both my parents are on social media. Specifically, my dad, I think he follows a few political pages. Even if they didn't follow any political information, I know there's a lot of ads on social media or on the internet in general that can really play a part into someone's political views.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned advertisements. Are we talking like campaign ads here?
Yeah, mostly campaign ads.
Since this seemed to be the most common response, we decided to reach out to someone who's behind these kinds of advertisements.
I think Facebook likes to think of itself differently.
Both of my parents are on Facebook.
But at the end of the day, the ads are A, easily shareable and pushed out, and B, we kind of stick to our own groups. It's part of the problem in American society, or probably worldwide society to some degree. But you have ads that are really being delivered to people that sound and think and act the same way you do. So that tends to mean that they're going to have the same ideology and therefore the same reaction to things. And that's how social media works.
Todd Stevens told us that our water was safe, but admitted he and his family only drink bottled water, while taking over $47,000 from oil and gas companies, as well as other polluters. No wonder he earned a 0 from leading environmental groups. We want to end pay-to-play politics by replacing politicians like Todd Stevens. Here, Todd, this drink's on us.
Yeah, so that's a state house race in Pennsylvania, and they have a naval base nearby, and that naval base had a leak. I don't think it was anybody's fault. From what I understood from the stories, but it had a leak, and the chemicals had infiltrated the local water system. So there was like a swath of Pennsylvania is mostly organized by townships and then counties, a bunch of townships throughout a couple different counties that had these problems. Our opponent had made some different statements over the course of his 2 years in office. So he was the local elected official. And some of it was, well, I'm not drinking the water, and then also said the water was safe. We thought it was effective. It was clearly the thing where I think our opponent was most vulnerable. We thought it was effective because it was so much about the viewer. It was using the facts to say this is the viewer, and it was a little bit of Todd, if you think this is okay for everybody else, why is it not okay for you? When you announce, well, I'll just drink only bottled water. Some people can't afford to do that.
How do you think political ads are different from other types of advertising?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Political ads, so campaigns, the structure of campaigns is really unique, right? So if you take Nike, you have years and gobs of cash to take a swish and give it meaning. But in a campaign, you don't usually even as much as we spend, you don't usually have as much as these major corporations, nor do you have the time, nor do you have the marketplace to brand something so quickly. So we've got to get in, get to the point, and get out in a much shortened time frame. As much as it feels like people are, I'm sick of the ads, and I get that. I feel that way sometimes myself. It's really truncated time frame. On top of that, you're not selling a product or some idea of yourself. You're selling it, essentially the values of another human being, and that affects how people digest the information they're getting. So you need to keep those things in mind when you're telling the stories and creating. But at the end of the day, the thing that it's very similar to every other bit of advertisement is that what sells is the story, not the bunch of data. So you got to have the facts in there, but you got to package it in a way that is authentic and believable and reacts to the person reading it or viewing it, not to just what you want to say as the candidate.
At the end of the day, we must be the ones to make sure that the package actually contains facts and not misinformation.